Good evening and welcome to Monday, Vaping TV land and stuff. We got a veritable cornucopia of things this evening, including news, reviews and general chit chat. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Marco?
We've got stuff. Yeah, we've got stuff. We've got stuff happening. We've got all sorts of stuff tonight. Lots of kit to look at, and we've got Dave D and Dave K in the house as well, and we're going to be discussing lots of stuff. Yeah,
lots of stuff.
Yeah. Why don't you shove the trail on and people will see what's coming up.
Let's put the trailer on.
Coming up tonight on Vape Trolls TV, Dimitris is back from China and he's got a review of the Kayfun Mini V3. Matt Garish looks at the Mini Volt kit. Marco looks at the Wismec RX200 and the Uwell crown tank. We talk about the truth, the rumours and the lies about vaping. All this and more tonight on Vape Trolls TV.
And there we are, that's a taste of what's coming up. Now, you might have already seen that trailer if you follow us on Twitter and Facebook and things, and if you don't, you should, because you get to know what's happening.
Yeah.
That's it, Marco, you tell them. What's the name, Marco?
Get on Twitter, get on the Facebook page, and then you'll see what's coming up, because we're kind of giving you little teases before the shows, so you know what's coming up, so you can get an extra large drink and maybe bring your tea and sit there and eat it or whatever while you're watching the shows. Yeah, I don't know how that works, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so moving swiftly on then. We have an update from VIP, from Liam of VIP. So let's sit back and enjoy.
Hi, I'm Liam, and this is an update from Vapers in Power. I'd just like to talk about what things you can be doing at the moment in the UK to help the cause of vaping. The most important one, because it runs out on the 29th of January, is the MHRA consultation. Now, this is just for people involved in the e-cig industry, and unfortunately a lot of information that really ideally you'd like to have to answer this consultation properly isn't out there yet in a final form. However, you can answer, you can make many general comments, and you can answer the questions about costs as if you just looked at stock in your shop, if you had a shop, and saw what you would have to notify that day. I think most of us think the market will change once all the fees and regulations are in place, but I think it's important that the MHRA do get lots of responses from e-cig businesses and get a better idea about how much all the testing costs especially are going to affect them. Hopefully either us or someone else will have a bit more of a detailed guidance coming out over the next few days. That would be tweeted by @Vapers, and you can find that information there. Vapers in Power would like to say a big congratulations to Germany. In 4 weeks, they managed to get over 50,000 signatures. So their petition, in fact, I think that there are 3 petitions that will all be considered by the German government, is actually going to be addressed. It's a great achievement, and we will be quizzing the few of them that are members of us and supporters of us very deeply about how they managed to do it, and hopefully picking up some tips. Our main ongoing campaign at the moment is writetovape.co.uk, write.co.uk. Basically, it's about getting in touch with your MP and starting a dialogue, hopefully. It's writing a letter that involves the MP having to do something, having to respond to you in some way, that avoids getting a generic reply, although you may still get a generic reply. And the idea is, even if we don't manage to stop the TPD, which is ideal, if we can involve our MPs, get them informed, get them educated, then the long game that the fight for e-cigs will probably turn out to be has a better chance of being cut short. So we want to get as many MPs educated as possible. And the only way they can do that is if vapers approach them. So please, if you haven't already, use right2vape.co.uk and get a discussion started with your MP. Speaking of MPs, in Wales there are elections in 2016 and we will be standing candidates in Wales. We don't know how many yet, but one thing we definitely do know is that we will be standing a candidate against Mark Drakeford, who, in case you don't know, is the Health Minister, and he desires not just to ban e-cigs in enclosed public places, he also wants to ban them in places where there are children present or where food might be being served, like a beer garden of a pub. So we can't be having that, so we're going to be standing against him. Right, that's all from me for now. I'll keep you updated soon.
And then Liam of Vapors in Power there to keep you informed what's going on. So, we've got a news story. Someone was burgled recently. Marco, do you want to introduce this one?
Yes, we saw over the weekend that there'd been a burglary down in Wales, and Matt had a little word with somebody earlier, and got the details. He's putting the actual story up now. Yep. I should think. So Matt, what did you find out?
Well, basically, what I've gathered is I know the people that were burgled. I know the firm very well. I actually shop from them a lot, and basically, I believe it was Saturday night. Someone broke into you'll see in the news page here, the shop in Rumney. Now, that is in actual fact their warehouse shop. Apparently not an awful lot of e-liquid was taken at the time, but an awful lot of mods were taken. So if you're in the Cardiff and Swansea areas, be on the lookout for anyone selling RX200s or Ely 40 watts mods very, very, very cheaply.
Anything really cheap. If it's way down below retail value, then it's more than likely going to be stolen.
Yes. Yeah. Now, apparently, there's currently no leads on who has actually taken it, or the people who have taken it haven't been caught. So keep your eyes peeled if you're in the area and you see anything going cheap. Get in touch with your local authorities and just to be on the safe side, sort of thing. Because we don't know if they're going to sell it with decent charges, that sort of stuff. We don't want another disaster, do we?
Well, it's not just that, Matt. I mean, if you think about it, there's a company that's lost a huge amount of stock, value of stock. But also, don't forget, when you buy something second-hand, especially if it's under-the-counter second-hand, you've got no warranty. So if it goes wrong, what are you going to do? You'd be throwing it in the bin and buying a new one. So, if you buy it from a reputable company, then you've got the warranty on the device, and you've also got their kind of their help as well. So you need to buy from reputable companies, and to be fair, they're getting so cheap now anyway. Mm-hmm. Why risk to save a £5 or save a £10 when you can get the pucker stuff and have all that back up there?
Yeah, thank you for untangling my thoughts and putting into words there, because I couldn't say that for some reason. So yeah, be vigilant, and if you find anything that looks a bit suspicious, then let someone know about it. So that will, I think, conclude the news. Should we move on to a little review that I've done?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, here we go. Hello. Right, I got something I'm quite smitten with today. Let's see if I can do this without sort of revealing it all. Hang on. Okay, right. That was a fairly impressive amount of vapour, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, I should do the reveal. Tiny small thing. Look at it. Tiny. Have I got anything I can put it next to? Let's see. Here's an 18650 battery, right? Okay, just it's shorter than an 18650 battery cell, because I'm going to get pulled up for that again. Right. Anyway, tiny mod which does 40 watts. No temperature control or anything, just 40 watts. And it will fire an atomizer down to 0.8 ohms. It's I'm absolutely smitten with it. It's a wonderful little thing, it really is. Let's just have a little vape. It shouldn't happen. Oh, good God. So, but let's try and do a closey-uppy thing, shall we? Let's see. That's the box, by the way, right? I know some of you like to see the box, so, and excuse the camera you can see there, but, you know, these things happen. Let's just go into the box. So you get a nice little plasticky thing, and you get some cardboard, and you get one USB cable, one spare glass tank bit, and one spare, I suppose, seal, O-ring, whatever you call it, for the tank, and one spare coil head thing, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, and that's where the mod would sit, and that's where the tank would sit. There we go. And inside you do get, you know, the instructions you would expect to see. So hang on, the camera's all weird, so let's have a look at that. Yeah. Put that down. So here we go. Here is the device. So we got this rather attractive sort of, I presume, faux carbon fibre. Probably just a sticker or something. But yeah, it looks all right. And we got your standard controls. You've got the fire up and down. On the bottom here we have USB charging port. No removable battery, but never mind. You know, what are you going to fit into it anyway? You're not going to fit an 18650 into the thing, are you? We have one 510 connector, which I'm not entirely certain is spring-loaded, so let's test. It is a spring-loaded 510. Lovely. We have a little dinky screen. If I press the button and possibly pull it the right way up, you will see the dinky screen. At the moment you see it's set for 40 watts. Now, it's not like your usual stuff where you just press a button and it will go up and down, right? It won't do anything by default, which is quite nice. So what you have to do, you have to hold down the fire button and the up button or plus button for a few seconds, and your wattage will flash. There we go. So I can now adjust in 1 watt increments right down to 5 watts. So it's got a fair range there. So let's put it up to 40 again, because it's fun on 40, because it shouldn't do that. And then you'll see here the Legend Standard. Let's let that just blank itself out. There we go. If I hold down fire and minus, that changes. So I can have, okay, weird, soft power standard. So you can change the ramp up time. To be honest, I'm quite happy with it as standard. You will see here as well the battery level, and you will see the ohm reading. Now when you do plug it into the power, let's see if I can do this, like so, and excuse the glare, but you can just see the it says battery charging, and you'll see the little battery meter go. Now I did actually have this on charge all night. That battery meter never stops flashing. So yeah, it's a bit hard to tell when it's actually fully charged. I mean, it does go from nothing to that and just flash, but yeah, it'd be nice if it just stopped flashing when it's fully done, but other than that. So that's a further tour of the detail. you'll see there the COV logo, for this is indeed made by Council of Vapor. And you will see there Mini Volt, because this is indeed the Mini Volt kit. And that's pretty much it really. It's a sort of soft rubberized texture. You know, the kind of thing you're probably familiar with in many electronic products. So it's quite a non-slip feel. So that's that. Now let's have a look at the tank, which indeed comes with the kit. So here is your tank, and this comes with a 0.8 ohm coil, and it comes with a spare as well. And we have here the airflow control, as one would expect. It only rotates in one direction, so you can't hang on, let's just bring this a bit closer. Let's try and get my hands around this. Right, so I can't spin it anymore in that direction, which would be anti-clockwise, but I can close it and it will stop when it is actually closed. So there's obviously some sort of mechanism there to stop it. And you've got a fair range of airflow options. You've got 4 of these little slots, and you can close this down to pretty much no airflow at all. We'll get into that in a minute. We have here a drip tip. It's not a 510 drip tip, I'm afraid. Actually, I'm not entirely certain if I can find a drip tip quickly. That'd be really beneficial, because as usual I'm not prepared in these sort of things. Right. No, you can't pop one in the top there. Okay, fair enough. It just screws on, so it's not like so. So if I was to get a standard 510 drip tip, there's got nowhere for it to go. So you are stuck with this drip tip, I'm afraid. Now these holes on the side here are for decoration only. They're not sort of an extra airflow jobby. So if you don't like metal drip tips, or you don't like fairly wide bore drip tips, yeah, you're stuck with it. So this is possibly not for you. It's got the same sort of anti-spitting device that the Council of Vapor Royal Hunter had as well, actually. So it's a very similar design. I mean, it's quite an attractive tank as far as I'm concerned. That nice sort of gunmetal there. The capacity of it is 2 millilitres, so it's not exactly massive. And it is a bottom fill, which I shall demonstrate once I undo this bottle of liquid. There we go. Right, so let's get that ready. No, that's the wrong bottle of liquid. I'll just get the right bottle of liquid. Matt, note to self, don't do a review first thing in the morning. Right, bottle of liquid. Oh yeah, and while we're looking there, you can see the Council of Vapor logo, which is on the bottom of all their atomizers. I do quite like it. It's quite attractive. That is not a spring-loaded 510 on the atomizer though. That's the mod do the work for it. So it's standard fare. That's the core. In fact, let's have a look at the core. I mean, it's quite big. Yeah, it's bigger than you would expect it to be honest. And it's got 6 wicking holes. I don't know if you can make them out there. It's a fairly generous sizes. It is a vertical coil, and it is capable of producing quite well, as we've seen. So we just fill this up. As I said, this will only hold 2 mil. So you know, it's not exactly Mr. High Capacity tank, but whatever. It's not really designed to be, is it? So you just pop that in there and jobs are good, and you know, we've all seen that before. So that's enough of that. Back to me when I find the mod. There we go. So just screw this on. So yeah, the mod itself, it comes equipped with a 1300 milliamp hour battery, which, given the tank capacity it comes with, is probably about right, to be honest. You're not going to get a good battery life out of this. It's not an all-day device, but it's probably a good thing to sort of stash in your pocket or something, or for you ladies in your handbag, or you men in your handbags, whatever you like. I'm not one to judge. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a great little backup emergency device. You know, and this is the thing I like about it. It's a great backup emergency device for you cloud chasers out there, because you can indeed. I mean, that wasn't even fully open. Hang on. Really good. Flavour production on this tank is actually pretty excellent, actually. Of some of you that might have, I mean, I've reviewed pretty much most of the Council of Vapor stuff. The first stuff I did was the Stratos tank, and I was really disappointed with that. I I really, really like the look of it, but I didn't find it produced a very good flavour or very good vapour. And the wicking was woeful. They really got their act together now. I mean, the Typhoon tank, which they released fairly short, well, yeah, I suppose a few months after the Stratos, that was good. And this is, you know, is better again. And it's with a tiny mod. Yeah, so 1300 milliamp hour. We'll say battery in there. Gourds, you'll probably have a go at me again. But yeah, 1300 milliamp hours. So it's not really for all day usage. It does charge up pretty quick, to be fair, because it's got such a small capacity. So, you know, you could probably take it to work, plug it into your charger or whatever, and when you need to use it, it's there. You know, so if you want to make it last a day, it's great. Or if you've got a backup power pack or something, you know, it's a great emergency device. So, we know it's good for the cloud chasers out there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to drop the voltage down. Let's put it into sort of more of a sub-ohm mode. So let's put this down to 15 voltage wattage, 15 watts. So we're on 23. It will go in 0.1 watt increments, but as soon as you hold it down, it sort of goes, you know, the full 1 watt. You know, so you got the fine adjustment there. But to be honest, point wattage is, what's the point? You might as well just go for 1 whole watt. So I've now got this set to 15 watts. You might better make that out. Yeah, you can. Right. Now I'm going to close the airflow right off. Can we see that? No, you probably can't. But trust me on that. I mean, I can just about see the air hole. And I'm going to attempt to mouth to lung, which is very, very hard work because I'm more of a direct lung inhaler these days. It's working. Not brilliant vapor production there, but then it's at 15 watts and it's naff all airflow. It's very hard for me not to direct lung, actually, especially. This is probably a downside for you direct you mouth to lungers, actually, because the drip tip is so wide. It's really hard not to try and do a direct lung inhale. There we go. I mean, I'm sort of doing a hybrid approach here. It's very tricky. It can be done. I mean, that's just, I'm going to leave the airflow as it is. I'll try and keep it in shots so you know I'm not cheating. I'm going to put this back up to 40 again, actually. There we go, 40 watts. More vapor. So, yeah, with a bit of practice, I could probably do a getaway mouth to lung in on this quite easily. But for you guys out there that prefer a narrow drip tip, this ain't going to cut it, this tank, I'm afraid. You can buy the mod separately if it takes your fancy, and I've seen it going online for about 40 quid. That's the price for the kit. So, the price of the kit with the tank, the charging cable and all that business, and the mod is £40. That's what I paid for it. And interesting disclosure, I did pay for this, and I got it from Barracuda Vape, which is just down the road from me. They've got an online site as well, so you can have a look on there. But yeah, I've seen it in other places, just the mod online for 30. Actually, as low as 27, I think. So if you shop around, you can probably get the mod on its own quite cheap. Let's fully open this up again. I am, as I said, absolutely smitten with it. It's I wouldn't say it's comfortable to hold because I've got quite large hands, so for me it's not particularly comfortable. It's not unpleasant or anything, but because of the size of it, it's hard to get my fingers in the right place with the buttons and hold it and grip it, that sort of thing. Got small hands, ideal. Or if you just want a stealth vape, I mean, I don't believe there's any way of turning the screen off, but other than that, you know, you just cover it with your thumb because it's so tiny. Well, I'll tell you what, the vaping world is constantly surprising me. It really is. You know, you think, oh, I'm all set now. I've got my sub tanks. I've got my You know, I've got my DNA 200s, I've got my my Rolos, this sort of thing. And I think, superb, wonderful, I'm set. And then you see something like this, which is just... put a grin on my face. That's all I can say. Oh dear. Right. So in summary then, it produces clouds if you want it to. It's tiny. It does 40 watts of variable wattage. There is no variable voltage mode in it. It's variable wattage only. That's all it is. Did I say it's tiny? Because it's really tiny, and I really like it. And it's 40 quid. And for a little backup device you want to stash away somewhere, glove box in your car, whatever you want to do with it, it's a good little buy in my opinion. Right, back to Marco and myself in the studio. Cheers.
And
there we are. That was the Council Vapor Mini Volt kit. As you can tell, I was quite taken by it because it's really small and fun. You don't hear that often in the same sentence. I forgot to mention in the VT, you can actually fit it from the top as well. You can unscrew the mouthpiece and just fill from there. So there we go. Any thoughts on that?
Chuff cap?
Chuff cap, mouthpiece, drip tip. Who cares? What do you call it, Marco?
Well,
are we supposed to be on screen?
Yeah, we can always kind of all in there now, Dave. I think we refer to them as drip tips, don't we? Even though technically, if it's not on a dripper, it's not a drip tip, but we all say drip tip. Apart from Dave Dawn, who's now saying mouthpiece.
It's a mouthpiece. It's definitely a mouthpiece, dear boy. It's a piece that goes in your mouth. Therefore, it's a mouthpiece. Bloody hell. Straightforward, you know?
It's a bloody drip tip.
Do not adjust your set. Dave Dawn is not insane.
Always will be.
Right, where were we?
We were just about to discuss the lies, the truths, and the rumours and misconceptions of anti-vaping, were we not?
We were. And how was this come about, this particular topic?
Well, I'll tell you what. This is the thing. I was at one of my sites last week. I went into the kind of open area where the smoking shelter is, and I was there, RX200 in hand, just exhaling a plume of vapor. And a lady, and she's probably in her early 60s, and I know this lady, and she smokes, and she said to me, "Oh, you're not using one of those, are you? They're so much more bad for you than smoking. I'm going to stick to my cigarettes." And I was a little bit taken aback. So I was explaining to her how she'd been taken in by basically a bunch of lies. Sorry for my loud voice there. And she'd been taken in by the popular media, who are lambasting vaping and who are saying all this stuff that is untrue. And as I was explaining that to her, another lady came, and she was probably mid-20s, and she pulled out a menthol cigarette. And I said to her, "You do realise that eventually those are going to be not able to be bought?" And she went, "What? Why?" And I said, "Have you heard of the Tobacco Products Directive?" And she said, "What's that?" So basically, you've got one section of the population who is a smoker, who thinks that vaping is much, much, much worse for you because that's what she's read on the internet. And you've got another person who is smoking the menthols, which I used to quite enjoy when I smoked, I have to say, the menthols. And she'd also tried vaping, but it didn't do anything for her. She had a cigar-like. So I explained a bit about the technology and what would be a good kit to start with. But you know, the two extremes there, somebody who's tried vaping but tried a really crap cigar-like and then gone back to smoking, and another lady who's too scared to try vaping because she's been told on the internet, and by I think she's read and people have told her that vaping is just so much worse for you than smoking. So I thought I'd open it up to our little team here for discussion.
Okay. You mentioned about the cigarette thing. Now, there's going to be a piece coming out on VTTV in the near future about budget vaping. And one of the things that you've probably all encountered, you go to your pound shops, your 99p stores or whatever, you can pick up a cigarette. Now, whilst cigarettes aren't generally considered to be the best experience in vaping, I mean, these kind of reinforce some smokers that will buy them as a chance to try it and go, like crap. So I'm not entirely sure that's a good thing anyway, actually having them for sale so cheaply. But that's another topic entirely. So I just wanted to mention it for some reason. Right,
I'm just looking at chat now.
Yep.
It is bloody galling though when you think about it. I was reading the transcript of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Health, which Public Health England gets dragged into to kind of report. This is the. It's not so much a select committee. It's just one where of MPs that have interests in health getting together. It's cross-party. It's all good. APPG, and one of the board members, if you want to call it that, one of the panel members on this APPG mentioned that nicotine had been banned. This is an MP. Thought that nicotine was banned. And I'm thinking to myself, hang on, just a minute. And there was another one saying that, evidence from the States, from a professor called Glands or something, was saying that these things were just as bad as fags and so on and so on and so forth. And quite honestly, it's got to the stage now where if I'm in a grumpy mood, and I am sometimes, and somebody walks up and says they're worse for you than tabs, the next one's likely to find themselves looking like Stephen Fry. It's ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous. And one thing that pains me more than anything else is we've got organisations with a whole load of credo, a whole load of credibility that are not decrying all this crap that's coming out of the States and getting into the papers and forcing the papers to print stuff to say, look, everything we've said before about them being as bad for you as fags, actually it's a load of bullshit. We're really, really sorry. We were just seeking advertising and clicks. We will never, ever do it again. The fact of the matter is these things are as good as harmless. They're not going to do anybody any damage. They are as safe as is possible to be, because nothing is risk-free. If the papers would do that, if the telly would do that, we'd be fine. Just fine.
I tell you what, these so-called mouthpieces and the people with the influence, if they all, and if you didn't watch last Thursday's show, if they all fought, if all had Heather May Morgan's brain, we'd be in an absolute utopia right now.
Wasn't she gorgeous?
She was. She was absolutely fantastic. And once again, if you didn't see last Thursday's show, after this one, go back and watch it on YouTube, would you? Because you're doing yourself a favour if you watch that.
I tell you what, I'm still blown away by what she said, because there you've got somebody who is actually approaching the whole thing with an open mind, a completely open mind. And she seems to be open-minded on everything. And yet, even with all of that, the whole open mind thing, looking at everything that's going on, she still comes to the same conclusions as we do. That's got to tell you something.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not putting Heather down at all. It doesn't take a genius to work it out. We've all come to the same conclusion. Everyone in chat, everyone watching this, we all know.
Let's just jump in there, Matt, because in chat, Paul Robinson 804 has said that teachers at my lad's school are telling kids e-cigs cause cancer. And it is apparently Stockport High School.
There's a shock. The Northwest.
Yeah. That needs to be nipped in the bud.
Again, I think it's an association which has been built over years of absolute crap, that nicotine is the bad thing. It's always stop nicotine. It's not stop smoking. It's stop using nicotine, isn't it? And everyone now associates nicotine with cancer.
Yes.
I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I mean, there's
okay.
That's the saying that, smokers, what is it? They smoke for the nicotine but die from the smoke. to some play on words like that. And then that phrase has been around for, what, 20 years or something. I think, honestly, half these clowns, they've just lost sight of the reason that that's bad. You know, whether it's true or not, and we've got lots of newer, better evidence now about how addictive nicotine is. Obviously, we all know that. But even if you go with the 1970s version that the public health campaigners were running with, they've forgotten that the reason that it's bad that nicotine makes you want to vape or smoke more was because of the smoke. And they seemed unable to make the connection, or the penny just simply hasn't dropped that the smoke isn't there anymore. So the first bit doesn't actually matter. And I think it's like you say, Matt. It's just ingrained in them.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, it scares me to death that the people we trust to be able to do the research and do the science are clearly incapable of it.
Well, it's even worse than that when you consider that research that was done 2 years ago. A survey done of doctors throughout Europe, or at least Scandinavia and over here, and 38% of doctors, these are the people that are charged with saving your life and curing your diseases, 38% of doctors thought that nicotine was the primary carcinogen in smoked lit tobacco. It's That's even more ridiculous.
That's even more ridiculous when they consider that if you were having a conversation with them along those lines, you were probably going to leave there with a prescription for some bloody nicotine replacement.
Yeah. I mean,
none of it stacks up, does it? It's just blind stupidity.
Going to the doctor says, "Oh, nicotine's going to kill you, Mr. Dorn. It's a known carcinogen.
Have some nicotine, get it down."
Yes, I'll give you these patches which you can stick on your arm, and I have this gum which you can chew. And
how many do you want?
Yes, but this is magic. Unicorn fart created nicotine. It has none of the carcinogenic properties of it. So you'll be absolutely fine. I mean, seriously, why do they just not put two and two together? When Russell in 1973 came out and said, as you said earlier on, smokers smoke for the nicotine, but they die from the tar.
Tar, that was it. Yes.
Never a truer word is said, but in actual fact, the research that's been going on for quite a while shows that smokers don't just smoke for the nicotine. They also smoke for the other bits and bobs in there, the MAOIs.
We all know that now, don't we?
Yeah, but apparently doctors don't.
No.
And apparently some researchers don't. And apparently now, what we're seeing in somewhere like Smoke Free Oxford, for instance, is that they are putting more and more emphasis on getting off the nicotine. Now, to some degree, I can understand that, because there is a scenario that says if you keep your nicotine addiction, whether that's with NRT or with e-cigs or with anything else for that matter, if you can't get your supplies of NRT, e-cigs or whatever, then the next best thing is going to be a fag and you'll go back to it and relapse. I kind of get that. And this is where they constantly shoot themselves in the foot. They tell everybody that e-cigs are just as bad as smoking, the major lie. And then they make sure that smoking is more easy to do than vaping is. Because cigarettes, tobacco, lit smoked tobacco is much easier to buy than it is to go out and buy e-cigs. Yep. And with the Tobacco Products Directive coming through, just to pick up on Liam, it's going to get worse, because the stuff that really works, some of which you're going to see tonight, there's potential for that to be removed from the market officially within the next 17 months or so. And the whole thing, it just drives me absolutely apeshit. That's the only word for it. I apologise for the language, but it does.
So I'll be honest here. If these people really were shooting themselves in the foot, I'd be handing them bullets, some of them.
Well, yeah. I'd be loading the magazines.
Question I want to ask you, Dave, Dawn.
Right.
You said MAOIs or whatever they call them. And you also said TAR. My understanding is, and I can't remember really exactly what it is, but isn't TAR in itself an acronym?
Yes. Yes, it's not tar like tar you see on the roads. It's an acronym, and I can't remember what it is, but it's about all of the other substances that are made available by the pyrolysis, i.e., burning of tobacco.
I've got tobacco absolute residue in my head, but I don't know if that's right.
The residue is right, and the tobacco is right. The absolute isn't,
Right,
and
okay.
I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I know it's not absolute. It's an acronym that takes into account everything else, all of the other, and depending on who you read, 4,000 to 6,000 chemicals, of which, again, depending on who you read, anywhere between 40 and 70 of which are known carcinogens, and so on and so on and so forth. And those are the bits that you have to worry about. Those are the bits that are a cause for concern. Those are the bits that appear to be a catalyst for the nasties, the cancers, if you like. Not causative, because there's no judicial knowledge that they do cause it, but they are associated with, and they may be a catalyst for. The carbon monoxide that's produced is definitely what causes COPD. That actually is shown, that is proven. That's the only bit I believe, truthfully. So yes, it is the tar, these other things outside of nicotine that cause the damage. The nicotine itself is, by the MHRA's admission and by most other people's admission, apart from those e-cig deniers of whom we all know, the nicotine is essentially, it's benign. It's a mild stimulant on the same level as caffeine, and therefore is absolutely nothing to worry about. People need to be told that. People need to know that. That's what we should be teaching in schools if we teach anything about these things at all.
For the people who like their facts and details, according to Wikipedia, TAR stands for total aerosol residue.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, I've just done that myself while you were talking. Yes.
The thing I was getting at is going back to the very high level view of nicotine being the bad thing, as we mentioned just a moment ago. Also, the campaign, shall we say campaign, of tar has actually got people believing, and we've all heard the phrase, I've got so much tar in my lungs I could coat the M4. You know?
Well, that's the whole thing about the blackened lungs as well. That doesn't actually happen either.
No.
They're dyed.
Well, it's interesting. During my Googling there, the first hit was Wikipedia, and it tells you what TAR stands for, total aerosol residue. But the next hit I got was from Quit Now, a tar information sheet. This is a government website. It says, what is cigarette tar? It says it describes the particulate matter which generated by burning tobacco forms a component, blah, blah, blah. It says it's the sticky brown residue left behind from burning toxins. So they're describing it like the M4 stuff. Yeah. So they don't know.
It's an interesting concept. I mean, in actual fact, it doesn't matter what it is. That's the bit that e-cigs don't have.
Yeah.
That's the bit that, you know, if you believe what you are told, and I choose my words very carefully, if you believe what you are told, that's the bit that will kill you. These things, e-cigs, don't have that. In other words, it's all of the joy and none of the death.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Unless you draw your salary from trying to get people to stop smoking, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
So shall we move on and look at yet another device that doesn't coat your lungs with anything, or indeed the M4?
What a sterling idea that
is, isn't it? Marco,
yes,
since this is your VT, would you like to introduce it, sir?
Yes, well, we're looking at this, which is the Wismec RX200, and then on top of it is the Uwell Crown Tank. Yes,
you would never catch me buying either of those.
And
sorry, what was that?
It is rather nice.
Let's watch.
Yes, as we've just mentioned, I'm going to be looking at this, which is the Wismec RX200. It is variable wattage and temperature controlled. It can handle NI coils, TI coils, and stainless steel coils. Yeah. So we're going to go down there and have a little look, and then we'll come back and we'll see just exactly how it vapes.
So here we are.
It's the Wismec RX200 mod. We'll just take it out of the box for you. I'll show you what you get. You get your device. You get a little card there which advises you about using torn batteries. You get a manual, and you get a USB to micro USB cable, of which I have lots now. Yes, so I don't particularly need any more, but there you go. Let's just put those to one side. And here is the beast. Yeah. 5-button screen, plus and minus, and your USB connection for charging and also for firmware updates. I've updated the firmware to version 3 from the Wismec website. And I must say I purchased this along with 3 batteries from Joytech. Other places are selling them. Joytech are doing a little bundle with 3 Sony batteries for $79.99. So that's where I got it from. Yeah. The battery compartment has 4 magnets on there, and they're similar on the other side. It's quite a strong magnet, I have to say. And if I show you the batteries, these are just 18650, and they are 2100 milliamp hour batteries. And on the mod itself, you will see a plus and a minus clearly indicated as to which way the battery goes in. And of course, you've got your little helper ribbon there to remove your batteries. The pins at the bottom are quite hefty, and they've got a good spring to them. It's quite a tight spring. It's not a loose spring. So we'll do minus to plus, and again minus to plus, and then this one is minus to plus, but the minus is on the bottom. And there we have our batteries installed, and our back plate back on. Yeah, it's got a nice feel to it, I have to say. So in the off position, there are a few things you can do which changes things. Yes, the first thing you can do is you can press the plus and minus buttons together, thus, and that will change the orientation of the screen if you're a lefty or a righty. If you press the minus button and the fire button, that displays the current drain on your batteries. What you can also do is press the fire button and the plus button, and that takes you into memory mode, and there's memory 1, memory 2 and memory 3. And what these are for setting the correct settings for your wire. So you need the temperature coefficient rate, or the TCR, and depending on where you buy your wire, they should be able to provide you with the correct TCR for that. So there you go, that one's set at 105, which should be for stainless steel 316L. And I have some stainless steel 316L here, which I'm going to use for the RBA build on the crown, which I'll show you later on in this bit of video, but I'll show you the RBA build another time. So that's the functions in the off position. That turns the device on, and you'll see here, if I zoom in a little bit closer, there we are, you will see there at the moment it's showing the wattage, the battery, which is half full, the associated voltage, and the resistance, which is nothing because we've got nothing on it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put something on. Now then, some other functions. If we go into temperature control mode, so that's 3 presses, and then we'll go into temperature NI, you can see there I've currently got it set at 420 watts. And this will go all the way up to 600, and then when you get to 600 it cycles round into centigrade, and conversely if you go all the way down to 200, it then goes into centigrade. So we'll go back up to 460. There you go. So 460 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the other thing you can do is you can lock the resistance, and if you see there is a lock, a little padlock just here. Now if you press the plus button and your fire button, that has now unlocked that. So when you put a new coil on, press the plus and the fire, and that then locks it into place. Now, because this isn't a temperature controlled mod on the end, it won't stay. It will disappear once I start vaping. But you'll see that when we put the crown on, which is going to be temperature controlled. So there you go. That's the Wismec RX200. And we're going to move on now and talk about the Uwell crown. Yeah. So now I've got the Uwell crown tank. This comes with 3 atomizer heads, 2 spare, 1 inside, a quartz tank, and obviously your tank itself. Now, this doesn't come with an RBA, so I've purchased the RBA separately, which is here, and it comes with the white screwdriver, not a blue one. So we'll look at this a bit later on, but we're going to focus on this tank for the moment. So I'll just open it up for you. So, in the packaging, you get your fully assembled crown tank, 2 spare atomizer heads, and a spare quartz tank. You get a full set of O-rings, in case you need to swap those. You get some filling instructions, and then you also get this folded up slight manual, which tells you more information about that. Yeah, so we're going to pull these aside. I got this from SR Vapes, and with the RBA unit, this was $28.99, which was delivered, and again I will show you some screenshots of that. So let's pull out this tank. I went for the black option, and it's more of a gunmetal grey than it is a black, I have to say. Let me zoom in for you, and there we go. You can see that quite clearly. 510 connection at the bottom. It's not sprung. Everything feels really clean, or squeaky clean almost. There doesn't seem to be any kind of machining residue like you sometimes get on some of the devices, which is encouraging. You can see down there at the bore on the drip tip, which is a good fit. It's also double O-ringed, and you can see there the taper down from wide to not so wide, and up there you go. You've got your little juice catcher well bit at the bottom there, and yeah, that really does fit well, I have to say. So we'll take this apart. Top cap comes off and you fill from the top. I do like the function of the TFV4 where you can slide it and put the juice in, but that's just as good. And the bottom section comes off. If you want to swap out the tank, if you crack it, you literally unscrew these sections. There we go. So one half and then the other half, and that comes completely apart for cleaning. You can see there it's got an O-ring on each end of this quartz tank. So we'll put that back together again. Like I said, everything is spotlessly clean, so maybe they're learning over there and they're making sure everything is cleaned beforehand. So I've done that reasonably hand tight. I don't want to overdo it because it might get stuck together. Bottom section now, the atomizer deck. Like I said, it comes with one atomizer pre-installed. And let's look at what this one is. Now this one is a 0.25 ohm dual coil, and they're vertical coils. And you also get, let me look, have a look, that's a dual coil 0.5 ohm. It's 0.5. Nice big air holes there, and 4 juice holes, 2 each side. And they come with these nice little condom type things to keep the dust out. And the last one is an NI200. Again, it's exactly the same head, it's just got a different wiring. The other ones are stainless steel. We're going to go with the 0.25 ohm coil, so I'll just put that back in. Just hand tight, don't want to over tighten it. We'll put the base back on. And I'll just show you the airflow. It's easier with this section on so I can hold on to it. It's on a kind of ratchet system, so you can see that it's fully open, and it's obviously both sides, so whatever you see this side is replicated on the other side, and it just clicks. And it's really 4 clicks to be completely closed, and then it goes round. So there you go, plenty of airflow. Filling, like I said, is going to be from the top. I've just taken it apart again because what I want to do is prime the coil. So I've got some juice in this here syringe. I'm just going to put a couple of drops on each of the wicking holes, as you can see. This is a DIY juice. It's a ATVG 20PG, and it is a 12 milligram, and it's a tea juice black and blue. And now I'm just going to give that a good soaking. And we are away. So now it's just a case of putting our top back on. Top section's back on, and now we're going to fill. And I've just taken the needle off there, the needle tip. And we've got that half full. And we'll put some more in. I've got this juice in a big bottle, hence using a syringe as opposed to a needle point tip. And that should probably do it for now. Yeah. So I'm going to put the top back on. And we'll put it on a device on the Rolo RX200 and see what it vapes like. So here we go. We've got the Rolo RX200 with the crown on top. I've set this to stainless steel mode, which is 3 clicks, and then select on your menu to stainless steel and press your fire button. I've got the temperature set here at 420 degrees, and I've already locked the atomizer. So we go in with the plus button, and that unlocks it. Turn my temperature up there, and then lock it again. There we go. So that is now locked in at 0.2. It actually says 0.28. Slightly different to the stated resistance on the coil. So I've got the temperature set at 420 degrees Fahrenheit. If you go all the way up to 600, it will then cycle through into centigrade. And conversely, if you go back to 0, it'll go to centigrade. So I'll just take this down. It goes down in 10-degree increments. So now we've got it set at 420 degrees. It's starting off at 45 watts and it's locked in at 0.28. So let's give this a blast. And you can see it produces. I have got this set currently at 470 degrees Fahrenheit. The coil is still locked at 0.28 of an ohm. And I've got it set now to start at 65 watts. I've got the air that much open, which is probably about a third,
I'm going to go to full airflow for you. I'm still using the same juice, although I have to say I added a bit of VG to it to take the nick down a little bit, because I was getting quite a lot of it. So this is probably around 7 or 8 now, but still it's more like 85% VG and 15% PG now, so I've added some more VG to it. Hence a heck of a lot more vapor. Yeah. Anyway, full airflow and 470 degrees at 65 watts. Nice, I have to say. Yes, rather enjoying it. Battery life is pretty damn good. Getting about 2 days from a full charge. I have been charging the batteries in my charger as opposed to charging it in the device, just because it's next to me, it's just behind me there. So I'll just chuck my batteries in. I will be getting another set of batteries, and Dave Dawn is going to look at a set of batteries from a particular vendor, either this Thursday or the Thursday after. So I'm waiting for feedback on those batteries before I push the buy button. Yes. Anyway, with that, it's back to Matt and myself in the studio.
And there you go. The RX200 with the crown on top. Now, I did notice earlier on in chat when you saw how much I paid, $79.99 including the 3 Sony batteries and next day delivery. Pretty damn good for $79.99. I do know that other places are selling the mod on its own, SR Vapes for one, selling it quite cheap, about 39 quid delivered. There are plenty of places where you can get the device sub £40, and then you need 3 good quality batteries. You don't want to skimp on your batteries. And I have charged it with the USB charger, but I tend to put them in my 4-bay charger and charge them in there. And at the minute I've got just under half left, and I haven't charged it since beginning of yesterday, so it's doing all right. I've been using this pretty much all day. I am loving the crown as well. It's got a nice flavor to it, the vape coming off, and I've got it at the minute at 60 watts. And what I didn't say in that VT is you can set the starting wattage, and I'm just remembering how to do it. It's the up button and the fire button, and that's stealth, and then it's 4 clicks on your fire button. That's it, and then you can set the starting wattage. So if you want to set it at 100 watts, you can do that, and off you go. We've all got them in the team, which is why the guys are here, because I want to hear what they think as well. I think it's a cracking little device, and my God, for the price, you're getting really good value, in my opinion. Dave Dawn, let's come to you, because you've got 2 of them.
What? No, I haven't. It's a mirage. No. I have the blue and white one, which is blue and white, not green and white, as some obviously colourblind people think.
Green.
Definitely green.
No, definitely blue. It could be green. I've got them both. I got mine from Joytech, Wismec. Totally, whatever, over in the northwest. And they do say you only use the Sonys. I decided to do that. If you can see, Try the hand up thing. Hang on. It's from Torchy, the battery boy. These are 3500s. 3500 milliamp hours. It says there. Look, if you can see, if you can read, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. 3500s in there. And seriously, I do charge every night. I just do. That's a habit I've got into. But the other day I forgot 2.5 days on a set of 3,500 milliamp hours, 3,500 milliamp hours. I have crowns. I have a black crown. I have the silver crown. I want the gold crown. And yes, yes, please, and more alongside. we were just saying while the video was playing, because we chat amongst ourselves, as you do, and I think if you've got one of these, they'll last you. That you probably don't ever need to buy anything else if you get one of these. That's not to promote it, because this is not about promoting e-cigs. This is about telling you facts and opinions. I'd get away with those all day, every day. Happy as Larry with them. Brilliant, nice stuff. Like it a lot.
Right then, Mr. Kitson, you've got the blue and white one as well.
It is. And let's put this to bed, shall we, for starters? Okay. It's green, but on all the websites it's sold as blue and white.
It's blue.
They don't sell a green and white one. So you order a blue and white one, and when it gets here, it's fecking green.
Blue.
Green. That said, it's a very nice shade of blue-green. I pretty much agree with everything Dave said there. I was very sceptical, right? I really like my temperature control mods now, and to the extent that if it doesn't do TC, I'm kind of really not interested in it these days, to be honest with you. And at the price, 50 quid, including delivery, what's not to like? It feels like really sort of chunky and substantial, but it's not overly bulky. If you compare it to like some of the DNA 200 mods, there's just no comparison. It's you know, it's just a much more sensible size,
and it works.
And it well, so does my DNA 200s. I've got two.
I wish I could say the same. Wait till Thursday when we play Matt's piece in.
Yeah, I know you've had.
Yeah, we wait for that.
Well, you know, let's face it, I've had these since pretty much the day they became available, and I just haven't had the issues you lot have had. Maybe I'm using them properly, who knows? And, but I'm really liking this. I'm going to get another one. I'm going to get a black one. For no reason other than I'd really be narked if this stopped working for any reason, and I feel I need a spare. It's an mod.
You've got to have a spare.
You've got to have a spare.
Yeah. I mean, that's the immutable law of vaping. You have to have a spare, and for God's sake, the price they are. Dear me.
Well, I've heard tell of getting these things for like less than 30 quid delivered.
28 quid delivered if you're prepared to wait 10 days. Apparently,
I'm prepared to wait because I have all these other mods. But yeah, it's a shame. One criticism, right? They obviously do two versions of this thing, don't they? There's the one with the DNA 200 in it, which costs a fortune, which is getting some bad press.
it's
Mostly from you and Matt, I have to say.
Yeah, a bit more on Thursday.
But the colour scheme of that one is gorgeous, isn't it? With the silver and the black and everything. Yeah, it looks absolutely lovely. It's a shame they don't do this one in that colour scheme.
Time will tell, Dave.
But I was thinking of getting a black one and mixing and matching the plates.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'll put the green plate, blue plate. It's the blue plate.
While you're doing that, Dave, what do you think, Matt? Because we need to be showing our next bit of VT very shortly.
Do we?
Sure.
I like it. There we go. As above.
Yeah, look at that. Black and blue.
Oh, fancy.
No, I don't like that.
I think it looks quite nice, actually.
Makes the green look even greener, doesn't it?
It's blue. Colourblind, you.
I wonder what it would be like with a Kayfun Mini V3 on top of it, Matt.
Oh, that was almost seamless. Is that a hint there? Okay, right. Final bit of VT this evening then. Dimitri, what's his surname? I can never say it.
Agafiotis.
Agrafiotis.
Yeah, that one is. Have a look at the Kayfun Mini version 3 after I press this button.
All right, let's take a look at the Svoemesto Kayfun Mini version 3. Pretty simple packaging, just a little paper box here. Kayfun Mini V3. Comes with a little bag of spare O-rings and a few post screws in case you strip your existing ones. Comes with a simple two-sided user manual showing you how to fill it, adjust the juice flow, And here we have all the pieces. And you can see pretty simplified version of the Kayfun version 4, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and start with the deck. As you can see here, we have a 2-screw design with a center airflow. And then we have 2 juice channels on either side. I'll show you how to wick that when we get to that portion. We have some newly designed O-rings that are supposed to not create that much friction where people had some issues with the Kayfun 4, untightening it, screwing it, and loosening it up. We do have that adjustable deck again to shut off the juice flow if necessary, and of course to refill it. And here on the bottom we have a 510. We do have a serial number. A lot of numbers there to identify the authenticity. Mine was requested to end with 71. And that's what I got. I know that's hard to see. Airflow steel adjustment from the 510. One of the drawbacks for a lot of people on the Kayfun version 4. For me, it really wasn't. I'm a mouth-to-lung vapor, so once I find the setting that I like, I pretty much forget it. But once again, to adjust the airflow, you position a flat screwdriver right down in there and make the necessary adjustments. The other thing you're going to see, no spring. Something that caused a lot of heartaches for a lot of people. There is no spring now, so that should help a lot those that are trying to create good temperature control builds. Let's put this back in. I have found where I like my airflow, and that's where I'm going to leave it. All right, then we're going to move on to the bell. Again, this is a smaller version of the Kayfun version 4. It's been designed obviously for maximum flavor. One of the huge advantages of the Kayfun design is the great flavor that it produces. We do have a glass tank. This atomizer holds approximately 2 mils of e-liquid. Then your top cap along with your juice filled port, and then a little Svoemesto engraved drip tip. That's all the pieces that come together. Let's go ahead and put a build on this and start to vape it. All right, nothing really special here. I've got 8 wraps of 26 gauge Canthal on a 2.5 millimeter rod. I'm going to go for around between 0.8 and 1 ohm. That's where I prefer to always build my Kayfuns. And it is suggested here in the manual that we try to angle this coil a little bit. So let me go ahead and capture one lead underneath here. We'll go back and make some adjustments here. It's very highly recommended that you do not leave any of the wire sticking, because it will short out if it touches the bell. To me, the Kayfun always has been so easy to rebuild. I mean, once I finally got the hang of it, you know, I could reset it in just a few minutes, and pretty easy here as well too. It is recommended that you leave this coil about 1.5 mils to 2 mils above the airflow, if you can see that there. So we'll make our adjustments here after I tighten this coil down. And as you can see, I've got the coil positioned in an angle. That way we can run our wicking material down to the juice channels. All right, we'll go ahead and snap off this excess. That will cut it clean. That way it's not touching any of the bell. Position my coil exactly where I want it. Remove my rod, and now I'm going to just kind of compress this coil a little bit. And I'm going to lift it up a little bit more. It's recommending you do this for good airflow underneath the coil to give you the maximum flavor. Alright, before I burn this, we're at 0.9, and this will probably go up a little bit higher as soon as I compress it and fire it a little bit. Get some tweezers. By the way, I did have some ceramic tweezers and got confiscated at the Hong Kong airport coming back from China. I had 15 devices with me with batteries. They took my ceramic tweezers of all things. Let me fine tune this coil and we're going to come back and wick it. Alright, this coil settled down right about 1 ohm after we compressed it, and it is ready for wicking. A lot of people know I don't use cotton. I'm using this Fiber Freaks version 2, the dense version. I have a little piece here that I've pre-rolled, and I'm going to run it inside this coil. And it's suggested in the user manual that we lay these cotton wick ends inside those 2 channels. As you can see, the 2 juice flow holes that are down there, we want the wick just kind of sit on top of those. It is suggested that you do this with wet wicks. So I will trim off some excess here. And position them down in the hole. Let me get some liquid. I'm going to take my tweezers and just set the wick just to sit above those 2 juice flow holes. Very easy. All right, let's put everything together now. We're going to take our bell, position it on top. My glass tank. I am going to screw on the top cap to catch that bell. And here's our juice. This is where the liquid is being refilled on top, and of course our drip tip. There it is, all assembled together. Now, we want to fill it. We want to make sure we turn off that juice flow. So just like we did in the Kayfun 4, you just hold the entire bottom and twist to the right, and you're going to feel it stop. That means you can fill it now with the juice flow and then open it back up. When you're ready to vape. Let's go ahead and close it up and remove our top cap. Fill it up with liquid. Open up the juice flow. And there she is. You saw some bubbles coming up. That means that juice is flowing down into those channels. Let's give it a vape. All right, pretty simple, easy peasy. It's designed to be simple and functional for the advanced users and the beginner builders. And you saw there. I mean, the fact that you can access the deck without having to empty your liquid, you can make adjustments on the fly, change your wick if you have to. That was a huge plus in the Kayfun V4 and now in the redesigned Mini. One thing that you'll notice is the size. This is a 19 millimeter atomizer, so they bumped it up from 14 millimeters that the original Kayfun Mini was, which was somewhat designed for the Ego batteries of the time, right? That ancient times. But since it's a 2 mil tank, it made no sense to make it any larger. A lot of people complain about the Kayfun V4 size and how bulky and top heavy it was. So they kept it at 19 millimeters with a 2 mil capacity. You know, I'm a Kayfun fanatic. I've been using one for a very long time. I still use my Kayfun Lite on a daily basis. The Kayfun V4 had some issues. I think a lot of the threading, the spring that was in the connection. The top filling was great. However, we used to get some of those threads stuck. So a lot of people were complaining about some of those issues that have been taken care of. They're using a Teflon coated O-rings now to allow those threads not to get stuck. And I sacrificed the top filling of the Kayfun V4 because of those issues and was bottom filling my Kayfun Lite simply because I enjoy that type of vape, that flavor. But anyway, here I have it on the Vape Forward Stout. This ended up being right around 1 ohm. I have it at 18 watts, which gives me around 4 volts for this particular e-liquid. That is my sweet spot. So let's go ahead and give it a vape. Plenty of vapor for me. I don't need to see no more vapor than I did when I was smoking cigarettes. One of the things that I showed you in the video when I was trying to turn off the juice flow, you actually turn this clockwise to reach a point where it doesn't turn anymore, and that shuts off the juice flow completely. Now I can remove the top and fill it back up. Then when I open the juice flow, I just do 2 full turns. 1, 2. And you can see the bubbles coming up. Now it's fully open. If you are using a thinner e-liquid, I'm using a 60% PG e-liquid. It's my all-day vape. It's a high menthol. When I tell this to people, they seem shocked. 60% PG, when did that become abnormal with all those high VG liquids that are on the market now? But anyway, I'm using a 60% PG e-liquid, and I have it fully open. Don't have any issues with it. But if you get to the point where your wicking material is not holding the juice and you start to get some leaking, you can definitely adjust it to your liking, or even fully shut it off and vape it off to stop the leaking. Let's go ahead and take this off. By the way, this is a 58 millimeter from top to bottom, not including the drip tip. Let's put it on a couple of devices, just kind of show you what the 19 millimeter looks like. Here I have the Joytech EVIC. And that's what it looks like on there. To me, this will pair up really nicely with small boxes. Especially that I travel a lot. Something like the Macro would look really, really nice. Here it is on the Radius. Not too bad. One of the devices that you do not think to use this with, the Joytech Ego 1. With a 1 ohm that I have this build, and the output of the Joytech Ego 1 makes it for a really nice vape. And, you know, it looks pretty good, I have to admit. A very inexpensive battery with a nice little atomizer on top. Not bad at all. And it looks pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and go through some pros and some cons. This atomizer should be available in authorized retailers by the end of the month. January 30th, I think, is the release date. I don't have a price yet, but if I do get one, I will update you before this video airs. Stainless steel is made out of 316L, as to be expected. Craftsmanship, all the parts are done really nice, as to be expected by Svoemesto. Top filling, of course, is a huge plus. The fact that you can adjust your coil without having to empty your tank, again, like the Kayfun V4, a huge plus. It does have adjustable airflow from 1.5 to 2.2 millimeters. Definitely not enough air to lung inhale. So if you're looking for a cloud atomizer, something to build really low, this is just not for you, plain and simple. And I like that they've kept that direction, because there are people out there like me, like Phil, like my wife, that still mouth to lung the vapor just like they did when they used to smoke. I mean, I like something to mimic my smoking. And I call this a daily driver. I put my favorite e-liquid in there that keeps me off cigarettes, and this is what I use all day. Yes, do I have some high power tanks and some cloud blowing machines? Yes, I do those as well. But this is what keeps me off cigarettes all day. But the airflow adjustment has to be redesigned in some format where you can adjust it from the outside. You won't need a tool. For me personally, I can find my setting and just set it there, but for other people that like to adjust their airflow when they're on the go, it's definitely a pain in the butt. Now, taking this apart only comes to about 5 pieces to clean it, and you don't need any more tools or anything like that. So it's a pretty simple atomizer for a beginning builder, but also pretty simple for somebody like me. Doesn't have a lot of time. I don't like to mess around with my coils. I just like to build something in 3, 4, 5 minutes and start vaping. Lastly, the drip tip, it looks nice. It's a little bit small. I don't like big drip tips, but I don't like these very, very small drip tips. I've been using a lot of these from Doug Newman lately. I really like these drip tips. But it does look a little bit bulky on the atomizer itself. Anyway, that's all I had for the Kayfun Mini version 3. Thanks to the guys over at Svoemesto and Flo Toller for sending this out to me for a review. I will enjoy using it as I do my other Kayfun products. For Vapor Trails TV, this is the Vaping Greek, and I'll see you on the next video.
And there we are. That was Dimitri looking at the, which is something some of you mouth to lungers out there might appreciate, is the new Kayfun Mini version 3. I myself was a very big fan of the Kayfuns until I brought out the version 4, so I might have a look at it. I don't know. But there we go. It's almost time to wrap up, isn't it? I think.
Almost.
Yeah.
But Dave K has a question for us.
Huh? Oh, yes.
Before we go.
Well, a question, maybe more of a challenge. I'm thinking of getting a new tank, because as you know, I've been using these sub-tanks now since last May. I've got like 7 of them or something. They're on everything, sub-tanks of varying sizes. They're all Kanga sub-tanks. And I'm thinking, because I've been watching you guys review different tanks and what have you, and I'm thinking of trying a new kind of tank. So I want some suggestions.
Well, before we give any suggestions, we've got to ask some questions.
Well, get on with it then, because we've got like 1 minute left.
Right. First, what's your budget?
I'm not too concerned.
Okay, mouth to lung or direct to lung?
Direct to lung. It's the only way to vape.
Bottom fill or top fill?
Top fill. That's the only reason I'm considering moving away from the sub tanks. Really, is the idea of top filling.
All right. Temperature control or not?
Got to be temperature control. It's got to be sub-ohm stock coils.
Right. Need to think about that.
Ain't doing any of that like coiling stuff anymore.
Okay.
Time.
So what do you want us to do? Have a think about it and report back next week, next Monday?
That'd be great, actually. That'd be really good, yeah. So if we come back next Monday and you guys sort of sell me a tank.
What, each of us?
Yeah, why not?
Right.
How much markup can I get away with?
Sorry?
How much
Work on the
markup?
normal margin.
Righto, 200%.
Zero.
What I suggest we do is each of us do a 2.5-minute piece of VT. Okay, we'll play them back to back, and then you can choose which of those you're going to go for.
So that'd be 3 different tanks, you reckon?
Yes.
And I'll pick the one I like most on Monday, and then go get one.
Yes.
Then what?
Sounds good.
Then what?
Then what? Well, then I'll tell you whether you were lying or not.
So then you're going to do a VT on your new tank.
I could do that. I could definitely do that.
You heard it. He said it here. So you're going to get
Or
a
at
bit of
least
VT.
turn up and moan about it. Certainly, I will feed back.
Yeah, we know what your feedback's like. Right, Dave, Dawn, do we know what's coming up on Thursday yet?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. We should have, all things being equal, we'll have the Irish report. We'll have the Scottish report. I'm filming that tomorrow. I'm chock full with stuff to look at, but I'm going to have a look at some stuff that's good for beginners that may take them from mouth to lung to direct to lung, but would be a good starting point. We've got on the stocks, I've got the Vapor Flask range, one of which Dave's been using tonight, but we'll be having a look at those. I've got the Cubist tank, which is small but beautifully marked. We'll be having a look at that maybe. There's all kinds, and Keith obviously will be reporting back on the Vivid unit that he was top pocketing last Thursday. And then last but not least, we should have from Matt a piece on the DNA 200. The question is,
I believe it when I see it.
will it make it this week? We don't know. As ever, it'll be in the running order.
Tune in and find out.
You'll have to wait and see on Thursday.
On that note, I've been Matt. This has been the rest of them. Marco, say goodbye.
Yes, this is me, and I have been me as well. Yes, I'll see you next week. Thursday, I'm in Scotland, so I'm going to probably try and catch Dave's show in the hotel. So we'll see.
Put Scottish subtitles on for you.
I didn't need them, man.
Hey, the news.
Oh, let's not get him started. Say goodnight, Dave.
Good night, guys.
Let's go. Ta-da.